Welcome into the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. We get you some sports talk in today. Yeah, I know they do sports talk everywhere, but ours is a little bit different. We try to be different anyway. I know people tell you they're different, but I don't know what I'm going to say half the time when I open up my mouth on the microphone here. I really don't. I have stuff that I have planned out. Yesterday, I made fun of old people. Yes, I did that. I said yesterday, if you're over the age of 75, you shouldn't have a voice in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Yep, I said that yesterday. I felt bad about it when I went home. But you know what? In reality, I said it and I meant it. And if you're old, I'm sorry. I just think things are different. So once again, with that, I don't know where I'm going to go. I have ideas in my head today where we're going to go. I've got college football topics we're going to get into, including 10 teams that could crash the playoff party in 2022. Also, we're going to talk about a couple of other little things here, but I wanted to start with, and I started talking about this yesterday, the coach's hot seat for 2022. So I went and broke it down by conference. I know. We talk about how conferences in reality, but it's a little bit easier to put it together when you look at each conference. So let's start with the ACC. I think coaches on the hot seat in the ACC for next season. And of course, you can put in your 2 cents at 803-978-1832. Just like Blake is already doing online. He says West Virginia, Florida State, and Georgia Tech all have their coaches on the hot seat heading into next year. Yeah, you're right. In the ACC, though, let's start with Mike Norvell at Florida State, Dino Babers at Syracuse, Scott Satterfield at Louisville, Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech. And I think that there may be people that maybe want to have a conversation with, how long are we going to let Mack Brown coach? I know he had a top 10 class, but if you meet Mack Brown, when he was at ACC kickoff, he was so happy about his Jordans that he wore up there. You would have thought he was 30. Okay. But they've had pretty much, this past season was a disappointing season for North Carolina. And if they have another disappointing season, he may decide to ride off into the sunset. So with that, those are my coaches on the hot seat in the ACC. Norvell, Babers, Satterfield, Collins, and Mack Brown kind of deserves a look. Now, I know people are gonna rail me for that. Feel free. Hate tweets at Rob sounds good. Phone line is open if you want to talk to me about it, 803-978-1832. So when you look at it from the one name that's on there, for some reason, I like Dino Babers. I really do. He's going into his 7th season with the school, new offensive coordinator, several other changes, but it may be time for the Qs to look on. In the Big 12, I don't think that any coaches are completely on the hot seat there. I am going to say this, and it is going to make some people angry, because I know that every Texas fan you hear is going to say, Texas is back. We got this Ewers kid from Ohio State, which, by the way, if you ask the people from Ohio State, they'll tell you, oh, he wasn't that good. Then again, he wasn't really given a chance to go out there and field snaps. But Steve Sarkisian, I think if he has another flop season, they may make a move at Texas. They might. Not that far-fetched. So the teams from the Big 12, I got pretty much no one, to be honest. In the Big 10, the guy that lives on the hot seat is Scott Frost from Nebraska. I mean, he is constantly on the hot seat pretty much every season. I think that Nebraska has to go to a bowl game for any chance for this guy to retain his job after the upcoming season. Other coaches that are going to be on the hot seat. Let's go to the Pac-12. Herm Edwards at Arizona State, Carl Durrell at Colorado, and maybe Chip Kelly at UCLA. So Durrell had one good season, one lousy one, basically at Colorado. Then you have the stuff with Edwards. An NCAA investigation into alleged recruiting violations continues. When you've got the NCAA looking at you, yeah, it's a problem. As we move to the SEC, the only name that I can really put on the list is Brian Harson. I know our buddy over here, Blake, says Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, but you know what? I think Vanderbilt, I think they're going to stick with Clark Lee. I think Vanderbilt's going under the adage that if you are consistent over time, things might get better. Okay. But Auburn has already proven they don't care. Remember, they fired the guy that went 3-5 against Nick Saban. I know that's a losing record, but there's not very many people that can say, hey, I went toe to toe with the GOAT, and in 8 games, I won 3 of them. What does that get you? A spot at UCF, which, I mean, let's just be honest, and sorry to all the Auburn fans listening. Once again, hate tweets go to @RobSoundsGood. I'd rather be coaching it at UCF just for a quality of life standpoint. You go down there and win 9 games, they're going to build a statue to you. You go to Auburn and win 9 games, beat Saban 3 out of 8 times, they want to fire you. With that, Brian Harson at Auburn has done some things down there that have kind of set the world on fire a little bit. Now, my big thing with Harson is that I don't like the way that he hired the coaches out from under South Carolina with Mike Bobo and those guys like that. Having them come over in the dark of night, that's not really an upstanding thing to do. Now, Brian Harson might be the best guy ever. And you know what? He offered those jobs, and those coaches took them too, by the way. They didn't really work out well for them. Bobo now is an assistant or an analyst at Georgia, and I can't remember if the other coaches are still there. The point being is that he's made a lot of what look like mistakes there. And he has a running back there that is an all SEC caliber running back in Tank Bigsby. Say what you want about Bo Nix, but Bo Nix was a pretty good quarterback in some spots. I do believe on this program, I said, man, he sucks at one point. But if you step back and watch some of his games, the guy went out there with heart and played some pretty good football in some spots. And what happens? He transfers. It seems like Auburn is a wheel that is just, it's like when you take, you get a flat tire on your car and you put the spare on there and you forgot to put the lug nuts on. That's kind of where Auburn is. I truly believe that. And I think they're going to end up somewhere else with their coaching staff at the end of the season. Now, on that note, what does he have to do then to keep his job? Going to the Birmingham Bowl and losing to Houston is not going to be enough. This guy's got to win 8 to 9 games and go toe-to-toe with Alabama again to have a chance to keep his job down on the plains. So there you go with that. Now, some of the coaches that I think, if we look at it from a different perspective as far as the group of 5 coaches, there are some out there. Jeff Scott's probably in his last year at South Florida. They have not been very good at all. A couple of other spots. Let's see here. Mike Bloomgren at Rice, Ryan Silverfield at Memphis. And you got to think of it about this from this perspective too. Who are the coaches that are going to move on? Coming into last season, Clemson, we use them as an example here. They had what was considered the highest paid defensive coordinator in the country, and a guy that had won a national title for them as an offensive coordinator. Those guys have moved on. Derek with a good LW with a good comment there. Derek Mason left and decided to go to Oklahoma State. He'd rather be an analyst at Oklahoma State than to be the defensive coordinator at Auburn. And this is a guy that coached at Vanderbilt where they had nothing. Yeah, I'd rather go be an analyst at Oak State with the mullet than to be at Auburn. So there's that too. When you step back and look at it, though, I wonder who's going to be the hot shot coach that's going to move his way up. Let me help you athletic directors out there that are listening on the iHeartRadio app. If you don't call Jamie Chadwell at Coastal Carolina, you're not very bright. There you go. I said it. You want a young, that's the thing now. You hear Colin Cowherd was talking before the show about how the Denver Broncos hired the offensive coordinator for the Packers, Nathaniel Hackett, I believe is his name. And he's like, that's what every organization wants. They want a young coach that has, young tendencies and smart guys. Yeah, Jamie Chadwell is one of those guys. He's going to be down there at Coastal this year. They're going to go at worst 10-2 and roll through the Sun Belt once again. And someone needs to get Jamie Chadwell and figure that out. Now, the other end of it too, if you look at it from a perspective of, well, he doesn't have any Power 5 experience. Yeah, Dave Claussen is still at Wake Forest. Now, if you hire Dave Claussen, though, you need to understand you can't be like Auburn and decide, oh, I want to change coaches faster than I change underwear. No, you can't do that. You have to give Claussen some time. But can you imagine Dave Claussen with a budget and not being at the smallest Power 5 school in the country? No disrespect to you Demon Deacon fans. But Claussen is an amazing coach. Just a smart guy. I think those two will probably, in my opinion, if my coach that I have is on the hot seat right now, and I'm not Auburn because Auburn's a completely different animal, I'm going with those two to start. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Old number 7 says he agrees on Chadwell. He also says Kirby Smart said something about all the good coaches want to go to the NFL and not deal with the portal and the NIL stuff. Yeah, I can see that too. And you got to wonder if we're going to get to a point now where the great X's and O's guys would rather go to the NFL, because in the NFL, you're going to end up with guys that are there for at least 2 seasons, maybe 3 seasons, and you can invest in guys. Whereas in college, you may end up with guys that are just more like salesmen. They're selling on the recruits, getting these guys in here and then maintaining them and keeping them. But you also have to be a good enough recruiter of coaches. That's kind of one of the things too. Our buddy Levon Kirkland comes in tomorrow. He's coached in college and everything else. And he told me, he said, hey, the college coaches, it's hard for them because they got to keep getting coaches to come and fill in spots. He says, if you got a great linebackers coach and he comes in and coaches linebackers really well for a season or two, he's going to move on to be a defensive coordinator somewhere else. Oh, Brandon tells me they hired him as the defensive coordinator. I thought it was a defensive analyst. We're talking about Derek Mason. Thank you for correcting me. Sometimes I'm wrong, sir. You feel free to correct me. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Blake says Lane Kiffin showing his plane heading to New Orleans in Twitter immediately after Sean Payton resigned. I got to give Jay credit. Jay likes to make fun of me because I'm a chunky guy, saying things like, I don't like a salad bar. I've never eaten a salad. Tofu is not on the menu. I mean, he just tons and tons of Robish chunky jokes, but he actually said something very, very interesting here. He says he's trolling normal, most likely. Lane Kiffin likes to start fires on Twitter. He really does. So, yeah. Old number 7 says colleges have to add personnel versus directors to handle NIL. They can't push it on the coaches. Yeah, I know. But the idea of the NFL, the NIL has to be on board with a lot of these coaches, because with a lot of kids, I mean, the Ewers kid at Texas, he went there because he basically got $1 million in NIL money. That's what the rumor is. Yeah, great money at Ohio State too. But I think the area of coaches, where you have the best X's and O's guys are in college right now. I think that's over. I really do. We're going to have a vacuum where some of them are going to stay, but the guys that are the good X's and O's coach are probably going to go to the NFL. Another comment from Jay, who is obviously obsessed with me. I don't know if he wants to go on a date with me. I don't know what's going on here, but he goes, "Do you find it appropriate to eat with a fork in each hand at the same time?" No, sir. I'm a savage. We just eat with our hands. Come on, man. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on The Rundown, here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. If you want to talk about coaches that could be moving on and a coach that you think is ready. Yeah, I don't know if he wants to coach in college, but Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, why that guy doesn't have a head coaching job, I don't know. No clue. No clue at all. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on The Rundown. I think that if they want to go back to the NFL, back to college, Eric Bieniemy should have something. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you want to join us here on The Rundown. Justin wants to know if Alabama has any chance to upset Baylor this weekend. It seems like when I pick Alabama, they lose, right? Or is it the other way around? Baylor's really good. Alabama's got to get their stuff together. They don't get their stuff together. They're a team that I thought at the beginning of the season was going to be really good, and they're not. They're really not. 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on The Rundown. We've also got, if you want to talk about the coaching stuff, you can do that. And I've got 10 teams that could crash the playoff party. Basically pull a Cincinnati. Can we use that make that our own word now? If you're crashing the party, it's pulling a Cincinnati. More of The Rundown in just a moment. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Justin may be right. Now, that's a good question, Justin. I think that the Florida basketball program is kind of in shambles right now. That I've got to get my buddy Adam Pinsker, who used to cover the Gators, on to not only did he cover them, he's an alumni, and he was there when they won those titles with Billy Donovan. And he's got like a Billy Donovan shrine in his house. I need to get him on the program because he knows a good bit about the Gator program, but he tweeted out the other night, I think it's time for us to find something else other than Mike White here. So, yeah. Yeah, Brandon. Stanley was a guy that I think he was 37 years old and had some issues with COVID and passed away. It's just sad. I used to give Stanley a lot of grief, but here's what I know about Stanley. He was a big time Gamecock fan, and it was in his mind, it was Gamecocks against everybody. So as I've gotten older, I respect fans that are like that. Some IQs over there. My goodness. Welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the show.
Hey, Big Barney Ross here, talking about coaches on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Georgia won the national championship, and before the last streamer fell, they done had their quarterback on the hot seat. Doesn't it stand to reason that they would put their coach on the hot seat too? Didn't he put Stetson Bennett out there? You know, why would you put one on the hot seat and not the other? It's almost like that fan base has just B negative blood type. And where do you think Kirby Smart would wind up if they go, say, 8-4 this season? I mean, I'm just curious about these coaches on the hot seat. But I'll get off here. Big Barney Ross, think about it. I'm out of here.
As always, thank you for calling the program, sir. I think he's trying to troll you, Georgia fans. I don't think Kirby Smart is going anywhere. I do think the way that some folks are looking at Stetson Bennett, I think someone actually said it in the chat room the other day. I'm all about building him a statue, but I think he should go somewhere else. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. But I don't think Kirby Smart's going anywhere. That's just not happening. So I know Kentucky fans, they're all about that. Hey, maybe we can get Kirby Smart out of there. We can win a game against them and go to our first SEC championship game. Yeah, not so much. Kirby Smart's not going anywhere. He's really not. I mean, he'd have to have 3 6-6 seasons in a row, something like that. Breaking that 40-year title drought, big deal. Really, really big deal. Blake says Kirby will take the Bama job when Saban retires. Now that might be interesting. But I don't think that Kirby Smart wants to move on from his alma mater to go coach at Alabama. And to be the guy that takes over for Nick Saban, do you want to be that guy? Yeah, I'd rather take a kick to the foot. I really would. I really, really would. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call. If you'd like to join us here on the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, around the world on the iHeartRadio app, we're talking about the coaching carousel for next season because I think it's interesting because I think there's going to be some coaches that are going to move on. And I think there's going to be an opportunity for some young coaches to get a shot because I think a lot of the coaching retreads, they may move on, go to the NFL, etc. Caviar Hound says, I'll take that bet on Kirby going to Bama. There's no way that happens. Yeah, you're right. All right, so let's go back out to the phones quickly here. 803-978-1832. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, well, how you doing, man?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
You're good. Hey, well, I got two questions out here for you. I got Jeff Collins. I think Georgia Tech, they got to have a big year next season. And you know what? He's out,
Yeah, I agree. Jeff Collins is definitely on the list. Better start coming together for him. What else, buddy?
Scott Frost, he's got to have it too. If he don't, Labasco fans could be caught for his head next season,
Yeah, man, you're right about that. Hey, I appreciate you listening and calling the show, buddy. Thank you very much.
You want to go out? Have a good one, my brother.
All right, man. Have a good day. Yeah, he's right about that. Jeff Collins and Scott Frost definitely on the list. 803-978-1832. John online says Kirby ain't going nowhere, especially back to those Gumpers. By the way, Kentucky knows what's up when they face them pack of dogs. Okay. And on the football field, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Look, Georgia's a dominant program. I mean, I don't know what else. I think people like to throw rocks at the throne. That's kind of the way that it is. Man, I'd love to be up there. The only way I can get there, though, is by throwing rocks at it from down here from the land of 8-4. As we look up, it's kind of the same way. All right, let's look at some college teams that could crash the playoff party. I'm calling it pulling a Cincinnati. We'll start with the Houston Cougars. They finished 12-2 this past season. They're expected to be the front runner in the AAC heading into next year. So they have to face reigning Conference USA champion UTSA in week 1. Then they go to Texas Tech. Now, if they get through that, that's the only team that handed them a regular season loss in 2021. The Cougars could crash that party with Dana Holgerson, who rocks the skullet. If your coach rocks a skullet and doesn't really think about it, literally walks out and rocks a skullet, he's obviously a grown man. Generally, once you start rocking a skullet, it's either A, you don't have enough money to pay for a haircut, or B, you're like, screw it, I'm going to keep the hair that I've got. So give me the Skullets and the Houston Cougars as a team that might have an opportunity to mess up not really mess up, but pull a Cincinnati, a team that will overcome some things and make their way into the college football playoff. Next up on the list is Wake Forest. Now, why do I have them on the list? Because there are things that are going against them, being the smallest Power 5 team in the country. I do think they have one of the best coaches in Dave Claussen. I think they play in a division, though, with Clemson and NC State. It's going to be really hard to get around. But they did go 10-2 in the regular season with losses to Clemson and North Carolina before their loss in the ACC title game to Pittsburgh. If they win the ACC, there's going to be some folks who are like, Wake Forest, look at that. Other teams that might possibly be kind of a dark horse candidates, maybe BYU. And then the most interesting one that when I was looking some stuff up, if you look at what Lincoln Riley is doing at Southern Cal, you got to think he's trying to make a big splash early. They did have that press conference where they had the band playing in front of them and the cheerleaders didn't look like they wanted to be there, and it was just not very good. But he is definitely making some moves out there at Southern Cal, and you can theoretically say, you know what? He could become that big fish in the small pond that is the Pac-12 and be a dominant team, sort of like the way Oregon was, where they were the only team west of the Mississippi, I guess, in theory. Or let's just say once you go past Oklahoma, west of Oklahoma, that you want to watch, that you have to think, okay, maybe they're a team that could be on the fringe of being a legitimate national title contender. Now, you have to put Notre Dame on this list because Notre Dame refuses to assimilate and get into the idea they should be in a conference. Of course, Marcus Freeman, he can recruit. Can he handle the front office? We shall see. We shall see. 803-978-1832. Some other notable teams that could possibly make a jump. How about Wisconsin? You know, they started the season 1-3, won its next 7 games, and we're headed to the Big Ten championship game, but they fell flat and lost 23-13. Don't they always seem like they're the team that's just kind of floating a little bit? Just saying. Wisconsin's one of those teams that could be interesting. All right, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. We'll take a quick break in a moment. When we come back, we'll have more for you as we get you through your Thursday, one day closer to the weekend. Yep, not a bad thing. The weekend, hang out around the house, go out and do some fishing. Well, maybe not this weekend. It's going to be cold. Oof. Anyway, quick break. And we come back. We'll have more for you. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. I'm going to text him. I don't know how he's feeling. He was feeling pretty crummy last night. I got to be honest. That's what he told me. Y'all seen him laying down in the middle of the show. I was like, man, what is that? You know? Be right back. Yeah, I'm kind of worried about jackpot, guys. So comment in the thread down here when the show's over. Let him know you care about him. Because I know he appreciates all of y'all that, that's why he does all those videos of him acting silly. He loves the interaction with you folks. We're trying there, Jordan. Welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Of course, you can call about the stuff we've talked about today. The coaches that are on the hot seat, I'm completely with, I gave you my full list, but in case you missed it, from the ACC, Jeff Collins, hold on to make sure I get it right. ACC, Mike Norvell, Dino Babers, Scott Satterfield, Jeff Collins, and maybe Mack Brown. From the SEC, I'm just going with Brian Harson. From the Big 12, maybe Steve Sarkisian. And from the Pac-12, Herman Edwards and I think I just had Herman Edwards and Carl Durrell of Colorado. From the Big 10, Scott Frost from Nebraska. There you go. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown, right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. You know, I got to bring this up before we get out of here. The Louisville head coaching search. They're getting rid of Chris Mack, who, let's be honest, took over the program when Rick Pitino basically did what he did at pretty much every other program that he was at. Now they're looking for a replacement. Here are the two replacement ideas for the University of Louisville. And I'm not making this up. According to a couple of different folks that I read that I think are in the inside of the whole coaching circles thing. Number one is Bruce Pearl at Auburn. And Bruce Pearl, by the way, has no soul because he said, hey, yeah, I've kind of talked to them about it. In the middle of the season, I'm going out there telling these guys that are out there playing their hearts out for me, yeah, you need to play hard and represent your school and everything else. But behind the scenes, when practice is over, I'm trying to get the job at Louisville. What an absolute scumbag that guy is. Seriously. How could you possibly sit back and think, oh, it's okay to look for a coaching job in the middle of the season? But then again, I guess college basketball is just a business now and it doesn't matter. The other name is, of course, Will Wade. I guess Will Wade's going to have to put out there, how much money do your bagmen have? Because I am recorded as having pretty good bagmen down here at LSU. So I'm going to have that if I'm going to come to Louisville. What a mess. What a mess with that. I think Louisville should give Chris Mack just a little more time, considering the fact of what he took the program over and how everything was kind of in the toilet. So there you go. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you want to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. You can also follow the show on Twitter. I'm at Rob Sounds Good. I don't get the whole thing with, hey, we've got these, that's the names that are out there. Other potential names. Let's see here. In addition to Pearl and Will Wade, Dino Gaudio. No, that's not a potential name there. I'm sorry. Yeah, Chris Holtman at Ohio State. That's one. Steve Forbes at Wake Forest, who they're playing some pretty good basketball. Wes Miller at Cincinnati. Kevin Willard at Seton Hall. Mark Pope at BYU. And Kenny Payne, the New York Knicks assistant coach. There's the names that are out there. Once again, I don't understand how that's such a big deal. I think you should be given a little more time. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown this afternoon on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Folks in the chat room are wanting to fight each other today. I don't know what happened over there. You guys be nice. You guys be nice. No need to fight over there. A friend of mine sent me an Onion headline today that kind of made me laugh. I'll give you that in a moment. Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, what's going on, Rob?
What's up? How are you?
Doing good. I want to talk about the Louisville job.
Yeah, what you got?
So I think from what I'm hearing, 'cause I'm a Louisville fan. There's a lot of interest in Kenny Payne. He's an assistant coach at Kentucky right now, but he actually went to Louisville and he has ties there. But I think one of the biggest issues that I'm seeing is he's a good recruiter, but we don't know how good of a coach he actually is. So we don't know what he's going to do for that program.
On that front, though, I mean, if he can recruit, sometimes talent can win you a lot of games and he can get his feet wet as a coach. I'd rather have, at this juncture, I'd rather have someone that can really, really recruit and maybe a marginal coach that can grow over time than to have, the other way around. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. And I think they kind of went off of Coach Mack too fast. But I had seen reports where the players were starting to not listen to him, and so I guess it was getting pretty bad. But I don't know why they got rid of him so fast.
I just think that he should be given a little bit more leeway with the way that he took over the program, because the stuff that happened with Rick Pitino there, I mean, just, I think Rick Pitino is a great coach, but the stuff that happened off the court kind of tarnished his image a little bit, and he should get a little more time. But then again, I'm not on the ground up there. There could be things going on that I don't know about, but from the outside looking in, they're going to fire him mid-season. That's basically giving up on the whole year. You're telling the guys out there on the floor now, your seniors that have been out there for 4 seasons, what you did doesn't matter. Your senior year doesn't matter. We can finish 2-15 in conference play or whatever it is. I don't agree with that at all in college basketball. It's just silly.
Yeah, I agree. Well, you have a good day, Rob.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Louisville fans joining us here on the program. If you would like to join the program as well, you're welcome to it. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Of course, you've got I should have asked him about the whole thing with Bruce Pearl. You want that guy coaching your program. Yeah. I guess he's getting results down at Auburn. But, man, I'll quit in the middle of the season, or I'll ask about the job in the middle of the season. Wow. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Tomorrow, Levon Kirkland joins us to talk about NFL playoffs. We'll get his picks for the Super Bowl matchup, which I think we're going to have 2 more great games this weekend. I really do. Joe Burrow doesn't care where he plays, by the way. He's going to try to show out at Kansas City. They're going to have to beat him. Took 9 sacks last week and walked out of Tennessee with a win. How does that happen? 803-978-1832. More of the rundown when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Y'all really want to fight at a Wendy's? Come on, man. Y'all ain't wanting to fight. If you really want to fight, you go to a damn Waffle House. I tell you what, if y'all are going to fight, we'll meet at the Waffle House. Anybody that shows up, I will buy your hash browns. All right? There you go with that. You two figure out which Waffle House it is. I'll buy the hash browns. If I'm not buying your chicken melt, I'll buy you some hash browns. You really want to fight, you'll go to a Waffle House. Wendy's is for like those Wendy's is for those metrosexual guys that wear the skinny jeans. So Grover says, be sure to video it. Yeah, I want content for the YouTube channel. You know what? I'll buy the hash browns, and then whoever videos it, you get a waffle. There you go. We can fight at a Wendy's. Get out of here. Better go to a Waffle House. Is it bad that I like to watch Waffle House videos where the people are fighting in them? I don't know why. I've got problems. Yeah, Walmart may be a good place to go. Blake's got a good point. The Waffle House workers don't want to fight. They don't want to call the cops. They want to jump into the fight. I'm with you on that. Final segment of the rundown this afternoon here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Apparently, there's 2 people in the chat room that want to fight each other. They said they're going to meet at a Wendy's. I told them that's not really serious. If you want to fight somebody, it's meet them at the Waffle House. That's the way that it works. You know what I mean? Go to a Wendy's. You're just going to hold up the drive-thru. Somebody might run you over. At Waffle House, they'll just step around you and get their Waffle House food and go about their merry way. Fight at a Wendy's. What's wrong with you guys? 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. You know somebody who would fight at a Waffle House, though, is Joe Burrow. That guy takes a beating every week, gets back up and laughs and wins. The people at Tennessee, the Tennessee Titans fans, they're going to be angry at Joe Burrow for a long time. How is it that we can sack you, 9 times? I think it was an NFL record for sacks in a game. And, yeah, you're going to come back and win. Yeah, how's that working out? Joe Burrow just keeps on keeping on. And if Pat Mahomes thinks that they're just going to lay down and let them roll to the Super Bowl, Pat Mahomes will be sitting at home in a couple weeks. That's a fact. On the NFC side, you've got the 49ers are kind of the same way. You are going to have to stomp them, like bash them in the skull to kill them. That's basically the way it's going to work. It's a very violent reference there, but that's just the way I feel about them. They're going to fight you, tooth, nail, whatever it is you want to call it. The Rams have this whole moniker of we're the Hollywood Rams. They've got all these guys that are, look at all the guys that are on that team. Aaron Donald and Von Miller and, Jalen Ramsey. They got a ton of guys. Lots and lots of stars. But the 49ers with Deebo Samuel and Jimmy Garoppolo, who's thrown, I think, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions in the postseason, but he's 2-0. But that's the number that counts. Yeah, they're going into that stadium there, and they don't care. They don't care. And they're playing with, you've heard the term house money. That's what they're playing with. I think Joe Burrow and those folks are in the same boat. What a pretty good, a really good set of receivers they have with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Burrow's got some options there. They could just to get somebody to protect him. He's going to be fine. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call. Oh, by the way, I figured out a way to kind of fix some of the baseball situation. They're having their lockout now. Hopefully it doesn't get to a point where they lose any time as far as spring training and everything else. But if we're going to miss any ball as far as the majors go, here's the thought. And you can, of course, if you're the commissioner of Major League Baseball, feel free to Venmo me for giving you this free information. There's this little thing called college baseball. Work to get that on ESPN. Work to get that on, play that on the MLB network. Give people the game anyway. Just let the college kids have the big spotlight for a while. You want to talk about a way to get the numbers up for college baseball? That's one way to do it. People are going to want their baseball anyway. Let's just hope that there's going to be a chance that they get the lockout over with. And there's the worst thing about all that stuff. It's hard to take the side of anyone. Do you want to go with the players? Do you want to go with the coaches? I don't know. Of the owners, not the coaches. But it's just like the average fan doesn't want to hear about that. They really don't. Elijah says the Braves are going to repeat. Braves are going to be solid this year. Braves are going to be solid this year. Elijah also says Les Miles told Jamar Chase he couldn't play receiver at the next level. That may be true. So it's amazing sometimes. What was it that I think Lane Kiffin told Alshon Jeffrey if he went to South Carolina, he'd end up pumping gas. Gamecock fans remember that. So there's that too. All right, final segment of the show, 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Billy says the MLB players want to see the owner's books, which is none of their business. Yeah. I don't know. I don't get that. I mean, I'm a pro-business type of guy, but in the end, like if you look at Major League Baseball, and I'm looking at the like baseball contracts, like the biggest contracts, and these guys are making a lot of money. And I'm looking at, hold on, let's see here. Yeah, Mookie Betts for the Dodgers, 12 years, $365 million. 12 years, $365 million. Please forgive me if I don't feel sorry for you if you don't get paid this season. I mean, they're paying you, what, $30 million a year to play baseball? I have friends that are in their 40s that play games on Saturday mornings sometimes, like little games in the park, etc. And they are livid if they can't go out there in their 40s and try to just play a kid's game. You're getting paid $30 million to play baseball. Stop it. Just stop. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Brandon says, Rob, do you think LeBron will go down as one of the 3 best players to live? Well, I think so because of longevity. I mean, he started playing when he was 18. If LeBron James, you know, he, even to this date, he's still a physical specimen. I mean, he's a big guy, can run, can jump, and you know, that a guy that's that big is not supposed to move that fast. So yeah, LeBron James will be up there. I can see that. But you know who I like to watch play in the NBA is still Steph Curry, and I like to watch Klay Thompson. Steph Curry, because he can take you off the dribble, doesn't play good defense, but take you off the dribble and shoot the 3. And I like Klay Thompson for, you know, even though he's working his way back from an injury. So, All right, tomorrow on the program, Levon Kirkland joins us to talk the NFL playoffs. We'll see if one game wrong over the weekend. I wish, can you imagine picking all of those games correct? I mean, he does know his stuff. He really does. So we'll have him in and we'll pick his football brain tomorrow. That should be fun. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. Lots and lots of good tweets there for folks to enlighten themselves. I've gotten into like this realm with some college basketball guys that really kind of know the sport or that cover the sport. You learn some stuff there. Billy says Steph Curry was not good enough to play at UNC, Duke, or Clemson, and he's laughing about it. Yeah, he went to Davidson. Remember when he was at Davidson, he led him to like the Elite 8? Just saying. What a mess when you think about that. Guys that just got missed on. I mean, Ja Morant from South Carolina went to Murray State. Most people couldn't tell you where Murray State is. It's in Murray, Kentucky. Almost went to school there. Little old Murray State. They did have Popeye Jones at Murray State. I remember that. Popeye Jones was probably one of the ugliest men alive, but could rebound and rebound and rebound. All right, tomorrow on the program, as I said, Levon Kirkland joins us as we get ready for the NFL playoffs this weekend. Oh, we might talk about the Royal Rumble tomorrow, too. Yep, Montez Ford joins us on the program on February the 3rd. So, yeah, be sure to check out the program for that. But we might talk about the Royal Rumble on tomorrow. There's rumors that Ronda Rousey is going to be in the Women's Royal Rumble. Crazy. Caller, you got 10 seconds. Go.
Hey, Rob, what do you think about Coastal Carolina's baseball team?
I have to do my research on them, but I think they're one of the better non-Power 5 teams in the country as far as baseball goes. They are solid.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Wish I had more time to talk with you about that, but Coastal Carolina's won a national title in the last 5 years. They're a pretty good program. All right. Appreciate you guys joining us. We'll talk with you later on. This is The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Hey, you guys, send good messages to Jackpot. I'm worried about him. And if you two are going to fight, I want footage. I'm going to put the Benny Hill music to it. Of course I watched wrestling, Billy. What are you talking about? Grew up as a kid watching Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. Wanted to be Ric Flair when I was a kid, but I ended up being too short. All right. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you later on. All right. Thank you so much. As usual.